Braithwaite, isn't she adorable? Adorable. Elaine, what is that Jewish person called? They're called Orthodox? Orthodox. Hasidic. All the words. Okay, awesome. Okay, you guys, this next storyteller coming to the stage, when he's not in jail or fostering kittens. Don't you love that? He goes to jail and he fosters kittens. It's a little of this and a little of that. He does stand up all over the country. Please put your hands together for the very talented C.M. Gorham.
Too many wires.
Hi. I'm going to tell you guys a story about how I accidentally rubbed my penis off. I'm glad that's funny to you guys. All right, my time. It wasn't funny to me. Some of you guys are probably not that surprised when you look at me to see that when I say that I've done a lot of hallucinogenic drugs. By the time I was 17 years old, by the way, if hallucinogenic drugs, I considered myself an expert by the time I was 17 years old with taking hallucinogenic drugs. My favorite one was acid or LSD. I'm just trying to find a connection. That's just all. Hey, if you love to laugh and you love to feel the love of the universe and then sometimes seeing your hand melt into your leg, then maybe acid is the drug for you too. Just saying. So my story starts here. My second month of being a senior in high school, that's when I thought that, as already an expert at taking acid, that's when I thought that maybe I had experienced the worst thing that acid could do possibly to me. I remember in homeroom one day, it was announced, amongst us that Patty Glacier's mom was going away, so she was going to have a giant raging party. Yeah, and she did. I remember going to the party, my little group of friends. Well, everybody in the parties, they had kegs and all that stuff. And sure, like high school, people are drinking. They're drinking the beer and the kegs. They're drinking whatever they could get the person that was over 21 to bring in for them. But I was not drinking. I was high on a bunch of tabs of liquid acid that I brought. I was having a good time until Patty Glacier walked into her mom's bedroom and found me in there. I was in front of the giant fish tank. If you ever take a bunch of acid and you can find a fish tank, it's one of the greatest things you've ever seen. So there I was found in front of the fish tank. Except she caught me pulling the fish one by one from the fish tank and swallowing them because I thought that the fish would be better off within the cosmos of me. I also didn't know how expensive fish were at the time. So I was banned from Patty Glacier's house. That's not the worst part of this. It's just gonna get worse and worse. It's gonna get bad. But anyway, Patty, it wasn't that bad. I left the party, and luckily, my parents, the house I lived in was about 5 or 6 minutes away. So I'm walking home, and before I go in, I look up, and I see the stars. If you can't find a fish tank when you've taken a bunch of acid, one of the next best things is looking at the stars. So I decided to just sit there. Went out, and I'm just looking at the stars. And as I'm sitting there, there's a little bit of a rustling coming over from here, and I kind of look over really quick, and there's my cat Lenny. So Lenny comes over, I kind of get Lenny to come over, and I'm just looking at the stars. Every once in a while you see a shooting star, or is that a satellite, or is it a UFO? I don't know. But anyway, Lenny comes over, and I start to kind of pet Lenny a little bit. And for anybody that's started to pet a cat, if you know when sometimes the cat will really enjoy your petting, so they'll start to push themselves into you. And Lenny starts to push himself into my hand. I love Lenny, and Lenny loves me, but it was a little much for Lenny. So I look down and realize it was a skunk. From my defense, I was on a bunch of acid. Lenny is black and white, and maybe he could smell the fish on my breath. I don't know. Anyway, I thought that was the worst. I thought that was the worst thing that could possibly happen to me doing hallucinogenic drugs, but I was very wrong. Fast forward a year, I'm in my first semester going away to school in Boston. I'm living in a place that's just, I'm a bunch of older guys. They're all kind of bullies to me. I was really depressed. I wasn't around my friends, my family. I was just so depressed. And one night I hear my roommates together, because they were all friends with each other, not me, but they were all together. And I hear them talking about the winter, the holiday break is coming up, and they're all going home to their families. So I think, I haven't seen my friends in so long. Why don't I get my friends to come up here to an empty apartment? We'll get them together and we'll do a bunch of acid. So that's exactly what happened. We all got up together. I had 4 or 5 of my friends come up, except the guy that was supposed to get the acid couldn't get the acid. Instead, he got something that I considered to be kind of subpar. Mushrooms. Magic mushrooms. A lot of people like those, but they're when you're an acid guy, mushrooms are just really not much. And so, but whatever. I was happy to see my friends. We got the mushrooms out, and unfortunately, also, it was such a small amount of mushrooms that we had to split up amongst the 4 or 5 of us. And also, they were blue. Blue mushrooms. I've never seen a blue mushroom after that, and I hope I never see one again. Anyway, we took the mushrooms. We get into my bedroom. We're all sitting around talking. And we start to feel the mushrooms come on, and we start to laugh. Remember, there's a lot of laughing, even with mushrooms. Mushrooms are good too, but anyway, we start to laugh. We're having a good time. And I don't know if it's because a few months had gone by and I hadn't taken any hallucinogenic drugs, but maybe my tolerance had started to fizzle away. It started to be so intense for me. Everybody else seemed fine, but I couldn't handle it. So I just said, guys, I'm really sorry. I know you don't want me to do this, but I'm gonna go into one of my roommates' bedrooms and just try to sleep this off for a little while. No, please don't do it. And I had to. So I went in and I got underneath my roommate's down comforter and I laid down. And I'm laying there. And also in some of these old Boston apartments, they crank the heat up in one of the apartments and it affects everybody else. So just remember that. So I'm laying under this down comforter. I'm in the darkness, except for the one red light that is in the room that is coming from the heat lamp of the 7.5-foot Burmese python that is a few feet away from me. If anybody in here has ever looked at a snake, you go over here or you can go over here. It always looks like the snake's looking at you. Always looks at it. And so I'm laying in this bed and I'm just looking at this snake. I'm looking at him, and for some reason, it's because of the acid or the mushrooms, I started to push my hands on my torso, and I'm looking at this thing, and I'm just staring, and I feel like I'm getting messages from the snake, and I'm pushing my hands so hard until I get down here, and I'm pushing so hard, and I stop, and I feel around. I didn't feel my penis. And I pull my hand out, and my hand is covered in blood. It's dripping in blood. Sorry. It's dripping with blood. That's when I realized that I rubbed my penis off. I don't know how much time went by when you're on those things. Time is kind of funny. But eventually, one of my roommates, or one of my friends came into the room, and she said, CM, we haven't seen you in so long. Just get out of bed. Get out of bed. We need to see you. And then by that time, I've gone through a lifetime of what it's going to be like without having a penis. I don't know. So I said, okay, I'm so defeated. I slowly put my feet down off the side of the bed, and I get up and I start shuffling my feet because I was expecting to see my penis roll out from my pant leg. Anyway, I go back and I'm not telling anybody, and I'm sitting there, and it took hours before I finally checked. And when I checked, guys, I still had a penis. I got to wrap this up. You know, at this point of the story, this is when I tell you about the lesson that I learned. I don't think I really did learn a lesson because I kept taking hallucinogenic drugs. But one thing that maybe I can say as a lesson is that, remember I said some of the benefits of taking these things. You feel the love of the world. I love you. And with that love, the next time somebody in here sees a skunk, just know that they need love too. Guys, thank you very much.